it's your favorite book reading Ginger, and welcome to our book club. Tonight we are continuing discussing A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I'm sorry we were unable to stream last week, so if you read ahead, that's fine. Just please no spoilers for the rest of us. So we are doing chapters 16 through 30. So last time we ended with Feyre and the Cyril. She captured it. So this is after that. She's sitting her in her room, and we find out that she's talking to Alice, her little servant helper, and we find out how rare that their younglings are. Alice says they're actually so rare that they're more precious to them as more precious than jewels and gold. So they're really rare amongst high fae. I'm curious, is the same for lesser fae? Just thoughts. And then she actually kind of warms up to her and tells her, the next time the fool gives you advice to trap a Cyril, come to me. Dead chickens, my sagging ass, all you need to offer was a new robe and it would grovel at your feet. So her and Alice kind of like bond, I guess, over this moment. And then of course they go to dinner and everybody's like shocked that she trapped one, and she was just like, it's supposed to be hard because it was like, a human girl, you trapped it? And she's like, no big deal, I got this. So after this, Tamlin kind of offers to be Feyre's friend. Like, they go out together. He removes her glamour, and she sees how wonderful the world is, how she's been glamored, how she's been her senses have been dulled because he's glamored her, and she can't see all this. And let's see, and of course she finds out that Tamlin glamored her family's memories, so they don't ever remember that the beast came in and like stormed in their house and came in and, you know, took her. She just remembers that that they think she's off living with a dead relative, so they don't realize that all this has happened. Sorry, lots of crazy stuff going on apparently at my house tonight. But they do know that about the blight, and that any of these warning signs happen, that her family should immediately like leave. So he's kept her family safe. So when all this happens, Farrah's like, hey, I like to paint. So I was actually going to read y'all a page from that, where he's like, you like art? And she says, yes, I'm not any good, but if it's not too much trouble, I'd like to paint. I'll paint outside so I don't make a mess. And he's like, outside, on the roof, paint wherever you want, I don't care, but you'll need paper and canvas. And she's like, I can work around to help pay. And he was like, you'll be more of a hindrance. We'll track it down, but, you know, you can paint. And then he tells her there's a gallery in the house, and he'd love to actually show her the gallery. So, you know, I feel like that's their little, turning point, where we see them, you know, they're starting to warm up to each other, they're starting to like each other. So we kind of see that happen. In chapter 17, we find out that Feyre's having a dream about this faceless nobody that's coming after her, and Tamlin rushes into the house with this fairy over his shoulder, and we find out that this fairy that he's bringing in has no wings. He's screaming for his wings. So then we come in, and she's, you know, talking to him. She's being really sweet to him. Obviously, we see that this fairy's not going to make it. He's going to die. And she stays with him to the end. And she tells him, you know, he's gonna get his wings back, and like Tamlin almost like, I guess, does like a little prayer type thing over him. And then we see that what did she tell him? I forgot. It's been so long. She basically says, he asked her, like, you just like our kind so much, why would you do this for us? And you know, he basically tells her, I wouldn't want to die alone, so, you know, no matter who they are, they shouldn't have to do that. And she says that she really regrets what happened. Like, she says that she was sorry there was so much hate in her heart, and that she wished she could undo it, and she was very, very sorry that it happened. And so that was a big thing between them, I feel like a big turning point. And then after that, Tamlin takes Feyre and Lucien out for a ride to like this grassy knoll. And anyway, they end up, they go off together, Feyre and Tamlin, of course. And we find out that Lucien is the youngest of 7, and that he is the High Lord of the Autumn Court youngest son. And that, like, in their land, the next ruler of the next High Lord is more determined by the power that they have. And he didn't want it, and but they see each other as a threat, and we find out that he didn't want it, so he did all these inappropriate things to make his father be like, you know, to show his father that he didn't want it. He did the wrong things that a High Lord's son shouldn't do, and he dated inappropriate people. But his father did find out. He fell in love with the girl, and his father found out, and they executed the girl in front of him. So really felt bad for Lucien, and I was like, oh, bless him, he's been through so much. So now he's at the spring court with Tamlin, and of course they're friends. So they go off, and they have like this little swim in this pool of starlight is what it's called. But they go off for a little swim, and of course they're in their undergarments, and she thinks, you know, she talks about how sexy she thinks Tamlin is. And let's see if I can find the page. I've got a old school, or not old school it, but go through my iPad. But, you know, they kind of start messing around, and Lucien eventually kind of says, I am sorry for what I did with this Earl, but if you hadn't have made it, I wouldn't have felt bad. So I guess her and Lucien are kind of warming up to each other at this point. And so she kind of settles into her life at the court, or the spring court. She gets her paint. She starts painting. So weeks pass, and we just learn that she's kind of gotten into this routine when she's just painting, and she's enjoying it. And but she does have these dreams about these horrible pale fingers like ripping her to shreds. So I feel like that plays a part in something. I just don't know what, but it is kind of creepy. And you know, I think she does feel ashamed for leaving her family, and she misses them, and she worries that they will like forget about her. And you know, I get that. She thinks they're gonna just, you know, she's living her life here, but they're gonna go on and live her life and eventually forget about her. I don't think they would, but that's how she feels. And while she's living her life at the spring court and painting and just doing her thing, we learn that High Fae, they do mostly marry, but if they're very lucky, they find their mate. And we find out it's a bond so deep that marriage is insignificant in comparison. Like, it's very intense when two people are mated, apparently. And, I mean, we don't really know why they mate, but for Tamlin, he tells her that his father, you know, he did keep slaves, and he had 2 older brothers, but his mother was very kind, and you know, and kind of, I guess because they were mated, looked over that his father was very, I guess, a mean man, and that his whole family was killed by the High Lord of an enemy court. We don't know who it was. He just said they were all killed, and then the weight to be High Lord of the Spring Court fell on his shoulders because there's nobody else left. So that was interesting. So I was like, all right. So I don't know what happened there. But we get to, let's see, Fire Night, Callan, something. Okay, we get to Fire Night. Let's put it that way. And Fire Night is basically, it's so weird. Tamlin doesn't tell her about it at first. He tells her just not to come out, to lock her door, to not come out. He told Fire not to come out on Fire Night. And of course, she was like, not gonna do that, because she don't listen to nobody. But anyway, if a fairy told me to keep my butt inside, I probably would. But she tries to come out, and these fairies grab her, and she is saved by, as she describes him, the most beautiful man she has ever saw. Short black hair and violet eyes. We know he's from another. She says that he just knows he has to be high fae. He does not have a mask, so we know he's not from the Spring Court. He is from a different court. We don't learn who he is because Lucian finds her, and basically is like, "What are you doing here? We have to get you out of here." So he kind of explains to her that on this Fire Night, this great magic enters Tamlin, and he becomes the hunter. And he has to go find himself a maiden to, you know, do it with in this cave. And then after they complete this, you know, it's called the Great Rite. After they do it, everybody else gets to do it. And their magic produced from this night helps the land grow in the coming year. So I don't know. That's some weird fairy stuff right there. So apparently the Fire Night, everybody just does it. And so she goes to her room, and she gets hungry, and so she wanders back out. Like, I don't know why she don't listen to people. Anyway, Tamlin comes in from Fire Night, and he's still like, she says he doesn't really sound like himself, so I feel like he's still got a little bit of that dark magic in there. But anyway, he says that he smelled her, and he was looking for her, but he couldn't find her, and the magic made him pick another. And so he pushes her up against the wall and bites her neck. It's just really weird. And it's like, next time I tell you to stay in your room, listen to me. So I don't know. So, and then the next day they come out, and it's like lunchtime, and they're, you know, she's showing off her hickey. She's like, I'm not scared. He bit me. He should see what an animal he was. And they kind of are flirting, and poor Lucian is like, cauldron spared me to have to endure their flirting. So the next holiday we get to see is the summer solstice. And Farrah does get to participate in that one. And, of course, Lucian tells her not to do something. And, of course, she does it. He's like, do not drink this fairy wine. And what does she do? She drinks the fairy wine. And she, like, danced for Tamlin or something all night. And then he takes her to this field to see the will-o-wisp. And they kiss in the field. So, I mean, we kind of knew it was coming. Her and Tamlin are very, you know, they're getting close. So they kiss, and it's like their first kiss. And it's all like, oh, yay. If you're, you know, shipping them, you got your wish. They're together, I guess. So, after that, we meet a new character. We meet, it looks like Rysand, but the book thing says it's pronounced, the book pronunciation guy says it's pronounced Rhysand or Reese. So he's actually her savior, the beautiful fae that she saw on Fire Night. He comes in, and they're like hiding her. We find out he is High Lord of the Night Court. So there's one of those courts. We're learning more about those. We're seeing people from those courts. So he is from the Night Court, and we hear the name, let me see if I can get my guide pronunciation up and not botch this name completely. Amarantha, something like that. We hear her name. So we hear her name, and they're trying to glamour Farah, and that's who they're talking about. Well, Reese realizes Reese or whoever, he realizes she's there. So Lucian covered for her and was like, "Oh no, she's my betrothed." And Ryson has the power, or Reeson, or Reese. I think I see it and I think of like Reese cups. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. He has the power to control and to see into mind. So and Tamlin begs for him not to tell that lady. So apparently that whoever she is, she's a big deal because he's like literally on his knees, like begging, don't tell her. And after he leaves, Tamlin's like, I've got to send you away like tomorrow. So of course, they spend the night doing their thing, saying their goodbyes, and the next morning he sends her away and he says, I love you, and she doesn't say it back, and I just feel like that's going to be something big because, she kept saying, I should have said it, I should say it, and of course he says, I'll come for you, but she gets sent back to the human lands, and she finds out that Tamlin kept her word, that her family lives in like this lovely mansion, and they're like, oh, Hal's, we're so sorry you had to deal with Aunt so-and-so when she passed, and they've been just so welcome taken for. Elaine gets to garden, she has like this beautiful garden, and then like finally Nesta pulls her to the side, and we find out that the glamour that Tamlin put on their family didn't work on Nesta. She knew the truth. She remembered the beast. Like, she just thought her family had gone crazy for a minute. She was like, what is going on? She went to find, she went after Farah and couldn't figure out how to get past the wall. And that was just so big for me to see this from Nesta, because Nesta was so mean to her in the beginning. And we find out that Nesta hated Farah because she could take care of their family and she couldn't figure out how to do that. Like, that's kind of weird to me, like, just ask, but Nesta had some resent against Farah for being the one to like hunt and take care of their family and keep them fed, and she couldn't do that. She was the eldest, and I guess she thought she should be able to do that. So she asked afterwards, like, all this comes out, and Nesta's like, hey, teach me how to paint. So they spend some time teaching, each other how, her how to paint, and they have like this sister bonding moment, and I love to see this side of Nesta, and I really hope we get to see more of her. So that's all we have for 16 through 30. Next week we will be finishing the book, and I'm so excited because it's in such a good book, and I can't wait to get to the second one. So if you have any thoughts, questions, any of that stuff, let me know. Pop on in. Love to hear your thoughts about these chapters. My thoughts are we going to see Tamlin again? I think we will. There's this, at the end of the chapter, she kind of mentions, like, something about, like, you would fight for him, and, like, our dad wouldn't fight for us. Nesta has a lot of resentment against their father, too, for everything that's happened to them. And who is this evil lady, the Aramatha, whatever, like, who is she? Are we gonna see her? Is she gonna come into play? Is Tamlin gonna like defeat her and then come back for Farah? Is Farah safe in these human lands? We know that it's woven into her father and Elaine's glamour that, like, at the warning signs, they need to run because the blight is coming to the human lands. We talked about the blight in the previous chapter. So is Farah really safe in the human? Like, he sent her there, but can they? I mean, they came over and got her for this life debt. Can they come over and get her for being someone close to Tamlin to hurt him? Like, is she really safe? Of course, I feel like the biggest ship everybody would have right now is, of course, Tamlin and Farah. They did have their first kiss, and they did, do the foxtrot, whatever you want to call it. They did that, so we can, I don't know, that I guess that'd be the major ship. So I assume we'll see Tamlin again. I don't know how, but I'm sure this is not the last of them in the Feylands. I'm sure somehow we'll find them back. Farrah's gonna be back in the Feylands. Will she be back with her family? Will she be back with Nesta? Since Nesta's immune to glamours, that's interesting too. I don't know how that worked out, that his glamour didn't work on her, maybe because she's very strong-willed and stubborn. Apparently you have to be really strong-willed to resist a fairy glamour. So, or is there something special about Nesta that we don't know about? Could be. So I thank you for joining me tonight. If you liked this video, comment below. If you didn't like this video, comment below. But I hope you did. Please hit that subscribe button. Please give me a like. And if you want to see me again, hit the little bell and you'll get a notification next time I'm live streaming. If there's anything you want to read, comment below and let me know. I'm sure I can find it. And I am the Book Reading Ginger. I will be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Go and follow me on Instagram at TheBookReadingGinger.com. Bye, guys!